Do you find it difficult to keep vocal tracks at a consistent volume throughout your recording? In this video, you'll learn about a tool that professional engineers use to keep vocal levels consistent and more audible in a mix. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name's Robert, and I'm passionate about all things recording and mixing. If that sounds interesting to you, subscribe to see more videos like this one. I remember when I was first learning to mix, overly dynamic vocals and instruments were a real challenge. No matter where you'd place the fader, it was like you're always losing that track in the mix, or it's suddenly jumping out of the mix and causing a distraction. That's where a compressor like the Teletronix LA-2A comes in. With its smooth compression and simple interface, it's perfect for controlling your levels and bringing out the best in your tracks, especially on vocals and bass. By using the LA-2A, you'll achieve a vocal track that maintains a consistent level, is easier to understand, and is simpler to mix. But before we dive in, if you have a song that you'd like mixed, get in touch with the link in the description. Let's schedule a call and get the mixes you need so you can focus on creating your best possible music. This video is brought to you by DistroKid, by far the easiest and fastest way to get your music distributed onto online streaming platforms. And their services are now easier than ever to use with their new app available now for iOS and Android. You can sign up today using the link in the description and get 7% off your first year's subscription with DistroKid. Let's begin by taking a look at the LA-2A plugin from UAD. There's only 5 controls, including the power switch. So like I mentioned before, the LA-2A has a super simple interface, and that's what makes it so useful. It's very smooth and forgiving in its gain reduction. So we've got 2 knobs here. We've got the gain control, and we've got the peak reduction amount. So that's going to be the amount of compression. And then we've got a knob that controls the metering. We can either view here the amount of gain reduction or the output of this compressor plus 10 or the output plus 4. So the first thing that we want to do when we're using a compressor like this, we want to make sure that no gain is added by the unit as we set it up. So we're going to set the peak reduction to 0, and then we're going to use the gain control to volume match the output of the plugin with the bypassed signal. Now, to our ears, louder will always sound better. So to avoid tricking our brains, it's a good idea to volume match the compressed signal with the bypassed signal. That way we can make a fair comparison.
And I'm sorry for making you believe me. One foot after another, and it's enough to make you go insane.
Next, we're going to get to know the metering switch. Over here, we can switch between monitoring our output level to monitoring the amount of gain reduction added by the compressor. So we're going to switch it to gain reduction, and we're going to begin compressing the signal. So gradually increase the peak reduction control to increase the amount of gain reduction. And the more gain reduction that is added, the more the compressor is going to push down on the peaks of your signal. And this is going to make your track more dynamically consistent, but also quieter than before. It's going to push down on those peaks, and the result is going to be a quieter signal.
And I'm sorry for making you believe me. One foot after another, and it's enough to make you go insane.
So next, what we're going to do is use the gain control to add some makeup gain to restore the overall volume that was lost through peak reduction.
One foot after another, and it's enough to make you go insane. And I'm sorry for making you believe me. For making you believe me.
So as you're turning up the gain control, remember to bypass the plugin periodically to volume match with the incoming signal to ensure you're not overdoing it with the gain. Next, we're going to experiment with the limit mode for a more aggressive peak control. When we're in compression mode, the LA-2A has a lower compression ratio, which provides a more gentle compression curve. In limit mode, we get a higher compression ratio, which gives us a bit more of an aggressive sound. It has a higher ratio, it's really going to push down on those peaks, and it's going to work a lot harder. Let's listen to a quick comparison between the uncompressed vocal versus the LA-2A in compression mode and again in limit mode.
And I'm sorry for making you believe enough to make you go insane. And I'm sorry for making you believe me. One foot after another, and it's enough to make you go insane. And I'm sorry for making you believe me. One foot after another, and it's enough to make you go insane.
Next, we'll listen to a similar comparison with bass. This is between uncompressed bass versus the LA-2A in compression mode and again in limit mode. Now, I've said this before, but really, the LA-2A is an incredibly simple interface. While many other compressors provide a control which adjusts the threshold directly, the peak reduction knob of the LA-2A controls both the threshold and the amount of compression. To understand what's going on under the hood of the original hardware, let's go a bit deeper into how the LA-2A works and how it was different from other compressors of its time. The LA-2A is an optical tube compressor limiter known for its smooth and transparent compression. Although it was originally developed for radio and television broadcast, it was deemed to add too much distortion to be useful, and many of these units were sold off to studio engineers for cheap, or, as legend has it, in some cases they were thrown right in the trash.
I'm not gonna be buried in a grave. When I'm dead, just throw me in the trash.
Many studio owners would salvage these units from dumpsters and repurpose them for music production, embracing the euphonic distortion for decades to come. The LA-2A was truly a marvel of engineering because, in contrast to the devices that preceded it, the LA-2A had a light source which provided the fast attack necessary for vocal broadcast applications. The LA-2A applies gain reduction by using a combination of an electroluminescent panel and a photocell. This element is known as the T4 electro-optical cell. This is where it gets its name, optical or opto-compression. It has a little eye sensor that reacts to the brightness of a light bulb. The more light there is, the hotter the signal, the lower the resistance, which will determine the amount of gain reduction. This is one of the most important contributors to the LA-2A's unique sound because in addition to the compression curve, the T4 cell also determines the LA-2A's attack and release. Unlike other compressors, which allow the unit to manually adjust attack and release, the LA-2A is different in that these settings are completely determined by the T4 cell. To start, the attack time possible by the T4 is much faster than previous neon or incandescent lights, which would take too much time to light up, thus delaying their attack time. Additionally, the photocells provided a very natural two-stage release. After the light is removed, the first stage releases quickly, and the remainder of the release can take place over several seconds. This signal-dependent release is a very unique characteristic of the LA-2A because it also has a memory. The amount of time it takes for the cell to recover after light is removed depends on how long the light has been shining for and how bright the light was. This means that the release time is slower if the unit has been in compression for a while or if the amount of compression is large. This gentle compression helps to even out the dynamic of audio signals, reducing peaks while preserving the overall natural sound. Now let's test out how forgiving the LA-2A is with this over-compression. Again, in this example, you'll hear uncompressed bass versus the LA-2A in compression mode, and again in limit mode. And I've also included footage of the compressor working in each mode so you can get an idea of the amount of gain reduction being added. That's not bad. Like, even with almost 20 decibels of gain reduction, the bass comes out really clear. And this is a big reason why the LA-2A is such an essential piece of gear. Its sound is timeless, and its simple yet effective interface makes it a go-to for professionals looking to quickly dial in a great sound. And I believe it's in part due to this forgiving simplicity that has earned it the trust of countless engineers and producers since its development. I hope you enjoyed this guide to using the LA-2A compressor limiter plugin to tame dynamic audio tracks. Let me know, did you find the history and background of this hardware unit interesting? Hopefully, these tips were helpful in giving you some confidence in your recordings. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you won't miss more videos like this one. Once again, if you have a song you'd like mixed, get in touch with the link in the description. Let's schedule a call and get you the mixes that you need so that you can focus on creating your best possible music. Thanks for watching, and happy tracking.
'Cause I need some patience to just be, have some patience.